Fulcrum is a death metal band out of Puerto Montt, Chile, and Lamentation of Immolated Souls is their debut album. This is a very straightforward, old school death metal album, which focuses on a bit of death thrash style in the late 80s style, and a maybe up to about 92 level of pure death metal, as we consider, for starters, the Florida School of Death Metal, where you're going to immediately recognize early Morbid Angel, especially Altars of Madness and the thrash influence in that, as well as the first Pestilence album and a bit of Deicide's debut. So, this is a band made up of other bands that are actually pretty good. I think Cavernal has split up. That was a solid death metal band, and Hallex Valgus is a pretty underrated, almost a kind of psychedelic death metal band that you should check out. So this is a much more straightforward thing. I think that it started out with a much more of a kind of a throwback sound on their first EP, and they haven't really strayed from that, but they've just upped the ante past the 80s just a little bit in terms of providing a little bit more sophisticated performances, some interesting like instrumentals in there, and a lot more riffs, a lot faster songs, and more late 80s thrash influence in the progression of those riffs. Now, in the first song here, it's an interesting example of crossing those Morbid Angel ideas with early necrophobic-esque details, which were heavily melodic even on that first album. I think it's a kind of a good reference to start with. It's not necessarily where they're coming from as as their own taste, but we'll cut into a clip here just to give like a direct example of what they're all about. So the band are definitely pushing for something like an early Cannibal Corpse-esque sound, where there was a lot of thrash influence on that first record, and they named bands like Morta Skuld and whatnot. But we could cut right to the chase and get closer to like an Infernal Conjuration or Superstition, where there is that obvious Morbid Angel influence that is framing in the riff style, and then we're working in extra levels of brutality atop the death thrash influence sound, the same way like Cross the Styx era Sinister did, along with some Deicide influence on their part as well. So if you're well familiar with old school death metal, you understand right away where this band is coming from, and the interest is in the action. It's in the riffs, it's in the rhythms, and how they dance across the fretboard with them. I think there's a particularly good bassist on this record. He does a fantastic job of making his presence count on this record, and that's a great plus from a lot of Chilean death and thrash metal of recent years. So that stands out quite a bit. I think the drumming has improved quite a lot since that first EP, and we just really get a high quality death metal record here. It's as simple as that. I think the standards are high enough to where I could put this record on at any time, listen to the whole thing a couple of times back and forth, had a great time with it. That's an easy high recommendation for me. I love traditional death metal, especially the bands that were moving from thrash into pure death metal and finding what the difference was. So this is a good solid death metal record. It's an easy recommendation, and it's a high recommendation. There's more details on the review, and you can go check out the album tomorrow when it releases.